Welcome to the Economic Report. It's Brian here. Thank you for joining me. Today, we're talking about crypto, your pension, your 401k plan, and you're not going to want to miss this because I'm here to say that the new laws that are being passed are going to have a direct impact on your 401k, your pension, and your retirement savings. And maybe, just maybe, a little bit of historical context will help us get a better understanding exactly what's the risks and of course, what are the rewards for bringing cryptocurrency into your 401k plan? According to this latest PBS article, it says Trump opens door for 401k retirement plans to invest in private equity and crypto. And according to this article, it says millions of Americans saving for retirement through 401k accounts could have the option of putting their money in higher risk private equity and cryptocurrency investments, according to an executive order signed Thursday by the President of the United States that could give these financial players long sought after access to pools of funds worth trillions of dollars. While there is no immediate change in how people can invest part of their work earnings, federal agencies would need to rewrite rules and regulations to allow the expanded choices, and that would take months or more to complete. But once done, employers could offer a broader array of mutual funds and investments to workers, according to the White House. New plans could invest in alternative assets, particularly private equity, cryptocurrencies, and real estate. So I want to make sure that we are aware of the powerful returns that could be generated from crypto returns. And if you follow things like maybe the Bitcoin story or the Ethereum story or even the Solana story, we are talking about exponential returns on these investments. Now, of course, you might say to yourself, geez, what's the rest of the story? And I think there's a very important place for us to stop and take a look here because, of course, no such thing as too good to be true, and it probably is. We are increasing the risk factor considerably because, let's face it, cryptocurrency really is in its infancy here on the U.S. front and, of course, as a world asset. Warren Buffett is a little bit critical of cryptocurrency. He's been quoted as saying that he doesn't know how it's going to end, but it may not end well. However, the President of the United States is putting his seal of approval on this, as are other very, very powerful people inside of the administration. And whether it's blockchain technology, whether it's the exact crypto coins themselves, I'm here to say that there's some things to take into consideration. Because let's face it, people really do count on their retirement as a safe haven to take care of them when they stop working. And those funds have to last the rest of their lives. And of course, the big question becomes, is it really, really a good idea to put your retirement savings in risky assets? Of course, everybody wants pie in the sky returns, but the fact is, what happens if or what happens when a bubble bursts? And that's maybe the thing that we all need to pay attention to. We're sharing a chart about the biggest and the maybe the most dangerous of all the bubbles. This was in the 1600s in the Netherlands. They had a huge bubble in the tulip bulbs. Yes, I know it sounds crazy, but if you think about it, tulip bulbs were a commodity, at least for a short period of time in the Netherlands. And with that, they became an asset class. And believe it or not, people started pouring tons and tons of money into tulip bulbs. Now, you might say, well, that's crazy because what real value do tulips hold? And I'm trying to say that's the whole point. And take a look here because this tulip bulb industry started, these things were brought in from places like Turkey and in the Middle East, of course. And look at this. Oh boy, look at all the people jumping in because there's so much excitement. Look at the public. Oh boy, there's the greed. There's the delusion this is going to go on forever. A new paradigm. Look at the whole world is going to be fixed because of the tulip bulbs. And all of a sudden, first sell off. But wait, there's the return to normal in bada bing, bada boom. You check that out. And of course, there were people who lost an entire year's salary on this type of stuff. And what do you have? You have nothing left but a bunch of tulip bulbs. And if you're concerned about that, that's okay, because I got to be honest with you, I'm not so sure that cryptocurrency has a real value beyond, well, what somebody says it's worth. And when you have a very speculative environment, the fact is, what are you going to do with a cryptocurrency anyway? And I do realize the blockchain is in its infancy and there's a lot of big projects. Ethereum, Solana, Bitcoin, they're out there. But of course, with that, there seems to be a lot of other players involved as well. And of course, when there's too many people rushing to the gold fields, or in this case, rushing to the tulip bulbs, you get the picture. It's a very dangerous environment for people. So I guess if you are a 401k investor, you consider putting in some of your retirement funds, this probably isn't a really good time to start speculating. You want returns on an investment. What you don't want to do is lose your retirement savings in some type of a cryptocurrency. Let's go ahead and see how this tulip thing worked out in the Netherlands. And I think that's a great maybe picture to leave us with on the economic report today, because of course your pension dollars, your retirement savings, your 401k, I don't want to see any of my viewers in this situation, because the bottom line is you work hard for your money. Every single one of you deserve a dignified retirement. And of course, we don't want to be on the short end of the stick trying to, I guess, speculate on something that could really blow up at our faces, right? And so I'm sharing this with you, and I hope it's something that's valuable to you, because it's one thing to take into consideration. Because at the end of the day, nobody can really tell you the value of a, what the real value of a, oh, share that screen again. How do you like that? Tulip Mania, we'll do that all over.
Remarkable milestone in economic history. The Tulip Mania, which took place in the Netherlands during the 1630s, was a period of extraordinary rise and dramatic decline in tulip prices. The phenomenon is acknowledged as one of the first documented examples of a speculative bubble, in which the unrestrained demand for rare and exotic tulips reached outrageous proportions. These exotic flowers came from the Ottoman Empire and conquered the Dutch aristocracy's dreams and tastes. Tulips were initially considered symbols of status and wealth, ornamenting.
So if I can stop you there for a minute, you probably see maybe a connection between a cryptocurrency and tulip bulbs, because this is a very big thing with the wealthy, with the rich right now inside the United States. Very similarly, just like the tulips were back in the Netherlands during this time period as well. But I'm going to let this play for a few more minutes, because I think there's a ton of value. And I'm not trying to scare people as much as just ask you to take into consideration and let me know what you think. Some
the gardens of noblemen and
really
elite households.
Right now.
As demand grew, producers started to cultivate increasingly exclusive varieties, sparking a phenomenon that would eventually turn into heavy financial speculation. The road to rampant euphoria in the tulip market soon unfolded, setting the stage for an eventful chapter in the Dutch 17th century's economic history. The appetite for rare and unusual tulips prompted a futures market, where people could buy contracts to acquire tulips at agreed prices in the future. The tulip trade developed into a social and economic phenomenon, with flowers bought and sold as tangible assets. Speculation reached its apex as tulip fever raged, achieving tremendous levels of interest and investment. Some tulip varieties even sold for prices rivaling valuable properties, but this apparent boom was unsustainable, In February 1637, the tulip market crashed in spectacular fashion. The speculative bubble popped, which left many investors with extremely overpriced tulips in their hands, and no buyers willing to pay the skyrocketing prices.
And I'm saving this picture for you because I want you to take a close look at it, because here's a fellow who's got flowers in the background, and that's it. He does not have money. He just has a bunch of flowers, and Lord knows you're not going to be able to eat those. And likewise, when it comes to cryptocurrency, whether it is a meme coin, whether it's something with a lot of speculation behind it, at the end of the day, you're returning your money for something that may not have a ton of value to it if that market just changes overnight. So while I do have some cryptocurrency in my own portfolio, I'm simply saying to you that please be careful and please be wise. And most of all, if you're really counting on that money for retirement, maybe, just maybe, a financial expert can help you. I will include some notes here in the description to maybe help guide you along if you're into this space. That is, if and when this becomes a option to put your pension and or 401k money in. And of course, if you just have some money on the side that you're playing with the cryptos as well, I'll also have some stuff in the notes for you as well. So you've been watching Brian at the Economic Report. I'm so glad to have you with me. And I want to remind you that a couple things here. First and foremost, I've been tinkering with this new format on the channel. Drop a comment below whether you liked it or not. And number two, of course, I want to remind you to like and subscribe to the channel, because you and what you bring to this channel really does matter a ton. So make sure you have liked and subscribed. And most of all, folks, don't forget the biggest battle we fight is the one between our ears over our thoughts, our actions, and our attitude. Until later, thank you for joining me at the Economic Report, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow, same time, same place, same channel. Have a great day.